Harvard Law Professor Emeritus and the author of The Preventive State, Alan Dershowitz, and a man who's been on the forefront of banning birthright citizenship for decades, Trump's former attorney, John Eastman. Gentlemen, thank you guys both for joining me.
Thanks.
You bet.
Thank you,
so,
Chris.
Alan, if we could start with you, this issue of citizenship really being enjoined with the concept of whether or not we can have injunctions from the federal court. Is the case being made? Is it too enjoined? Can they actually deal with both of these issues at the same time?
No, I don't think so. I think they're going to decide the injunction issue, and they're probably going to put off deciding on the injunction issue. They all missed the point. Here you had 4 judges, all of whom ruled that the executive order was unconstitutional. But what if 2 judges had ruled it was unconstitutional? 2 judges ruled it was constitutional. Who do you follow? That's the problem. Or what if 20 judges ruled it was unconstitutional and 1 judge ruled it was constitutional, but that 1 judge is in California, the biggest state? So I don't know how they're going to get around this. The way to get around this is by legislation. Let Congress create a new court, like the FISA court, 5 judges that can handle claims for a national injunction. They would have to decide it within a short period of time and then automatic appeal to the Supreme Court, and that would avoid the issue. As far as birthright citizenship is concerned, it seems to me the issue is simple. It's up to Congress. Probably alone can't say that these kids are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, but Congress can easily pass a statute saying that any child born of parents who then leave the United States within a certain period of time are not subject to the jurisdiction. And once they're not subject to the jurisdiction, they are not covered by the 14th Amendment.
Now, John, you've been on the forefront of this for a long time. I can imagine you were hearing some of the arguments being made. You were probably dying to jump in there yourself, without a doubt. Do you think they did a good job? Do you think they carried that narrative through to both answer the Supreme Court justices' questions and make their case at the same time?
Well, I agree with Alan on one thing. I think they're going to decide the injunction issue here and not the merits of the birthright citizenship claim. But during his rebuttal argument, General Sauer actually got up and said, Justice Sotomayor, you're wrong. She said this has been settled for 100 years. It's not been. There has been no Supreme Court case that has decided the question on whether the children of temporary visitors or illegal immigrants are automatic citizens. The one case that actually had a holding on this dealt exclusively with the children of lawfully and permanently domiciled parents. Everything else in that case was dicta. And the historical record, subject to the jurisdiction, is something that's confusing for us now, but it was not confusing for the people that drafted that amendment. It meant subject to the complete jurisdiction. They called it partial jurisdiction if you were just subject to our laws, such everybody within our borders is subject to our laws. But the drafters of that language were asked specifically, do you mean partial or do you mean full? And they said, we mean full. That's what it means, not subject to any other foreign power. And what Trump has done here is said that's what the original meaning meant. But we're not going to get to that in this particular phase of the case. We're going to deal with whether a single judge in Seattle and another single judge in Boston can issue a nationwide injunction that applies to people who are not parties to the case before him, and whether that violates Article 3's requirement that the courts only have authority over cases or controversies. That means to the parties to the dispute before them.
So, Alan, there seems to be some agreement here that they'll likely decide what to do on the injunctions. They will punt away the citizenship issue, but that's the issue people are really looking at. What happens to that issue? Does it go back to the lower courts? Is it something that can come back in some form, or is it only Congress can deal with it at this point?
No, I think it will percolate, and I think we're going to see decisions going the other way. For example, on the issue of partial jurisdiction, we now recognize that you can be a dual citizen of the United States and of Canada, of the United States and Israel. So you're subject to the laws both of Israel and of the United States. And so the question comes up, if you are subject to the laws of 2 jurisdictions, are you subject exclusively to the laws of the United States to become a citizen? These are all very complicated issues, and they should be resolved by Congress. When you have in a constitutional amendment and an opportunity for Congress to resolve it, they ought to do that. So I think, look.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.